Let's take a look at the interface. In this video, we'll begin to look at the options across the top of the OpenBoard application. The first button you see in the upper left corner is the stylus button. By tapping the stylus button, you can toggle the view of the floating toolbar you have at the bottom of the window. The next two options you see along the top are color and line choices. When you first launch OpenBoard, the default tool that you have access to is the stylus or the pen, so you can begin writing on the blank page you see in front of you. So I can just start writing on the screen. I can choose different colors. And I can choose line thicknesses. So we're writing with the thickest line option. If I choose the medium line, it has a finer point, and the thin line has the finest point. So the next set of options I have are for the eraser, and by tapping on the options for the eraser, it'll switch the tool to the eraser tool. So I can choose a large eraser, and when I do that, I have a wide area that I can erase at once. If I choose the medium option, I get a smaller erasing area, and if I choose the smallest, I can really get in and do a fine, small erasing job. The next button I have access to is the Backgrounds button, and that allows me to choose what background that I write on for the OpenBoard page that I'm looking at. So by default we have a blank white page. I can choose a grid, and with the slider in the options palette I can choose to make the grid size with smaller boxes or make the grid size have larger boxes. Same goes for the lined paper, the ruled paper background. I can choose to make the lines closer together or have a wider ruled page. I can choose plain dark background, and if I do that, the black pen will automatically default to a white pen so I can see it on the dark background. And I get a dark grid background and a dark ruled background. To get rid of that option, I can click the X in the palette. The next set of options that I have along the top are undo and redo. So undo will step me through actions that I've done, so I can undo what I've done. Redo steps me forward in my history. Control Z works as well, Command Z on the Mac. The next option I have is the Pages button, and what that does is it gives me more pages in my OpenBoard document. So if you look at the left hand side of the window, you'll see a page sorter tab in the documentation, the official documentation for OpenBoard. They call it the flat plan, but you can think of it as the page sorter tab in the Smart Notebook software, if you're familiar with that, or the slide sorter tab that you have in PowerPoint. It just gives you quick access to the pages that you have in your document, and it gives you little thumbnail views of them so you can kind of see which page you want to be on. So if you look at the page sorter tab, I can hide it or show it by tapping the extra little tab that comes out. If I tap the Pages button at the top, I can add additional pages. And again, you see I have, if you look at the page 1 in the Page Sorter tab, you can see the little preview of what I have on my page. If I tap on the page in the Page Sorter tab, I have options to either delete the page by tapping on the X, or I can duplicate that page. And so I can get a copy of that page. And if I want to get rid of it, I tap on the page and then I can tap on the X. And then it asks me if I'm sure I want to remove that page from the document. And I can say yes. So I can go back into my page. And that's what the Page Sorter tab does. The next two options I have at the top of the page, at the top of the document next to the Pages button, are Previous and Next buttons. Next allows me to jump to the next page that I have in the Page Sorter tab. Previous allows me to jump to the previous pages I have in the Page Sorter tab. The Erase button next to the Previous and Next buttons will erase everything at once on the active page. So let me put some writing on this page. And let me go back to my first page and tap Erase. And you'll see it erased everything that I have in one action on my active page, but if I go to page 2, it didn't touch anything that I had on my other pages. So if you want to quickly erase what you've done, it's a nice quick way without having to select the eraser tool itself and erase over everything that you have on the page.